So we went running over to my library, and he's looking. And I said, the goddamn FBI is going to start shooting. What are you doing? He said, I'm looking for that book, Patriot Chiefs. And I go, holy hell. I ran over and I said, here. And I gave it to him, and we started down. I was like, well, I'm going to need something too, so I grabbed one. And when we got to the door, Banks opens the door and he goes, hi, what can I do for you? Oh, hell. They grabbed him and threw him down, put their damn back on him and handcuffed his ass. I didn't say, what can I do for you? I grabbed me and they threw me down too, you know. And that came out in the paper, in the San Francisco Chronicle, and Banks in my picture, you know, the most wanted Indian and his accomplice and all this. Well, my dad in Oklahoma, he didn't like me being involved in Indian affairs. He's a Creek Indian, you know, and they didn't want to make waves, don't make white people mad at you. And he was always embarrassed about what I was doing. And so it came out in the Tulsa World. Former Oklahoma State football and track star arrested by FBI. And he was a county commissioner. And my mother told me, said, you ruined his career. And I said, well, I didn't do it on purpose. And they said, he's not going to run for a re-election. But those Indians in Oklahoma at that time were very conservative. And especially my dad. He grew up in the 30s and 40s where, you know, don't make waves and don't make white people mad at you and do what. And I grew up in a different generation, as Banks and Belcourt and Means and all those guys did. Blacks had their heroes. They had the Black Panthers, the Black Muslims, and these other groups. And they had all their, black heroes. And Banks and Belcourt and Means and myself and a few others became the leaders of the goddamn civil rights movement in this country. And nobody gave you a damn medal. Nobody gave you a damn medal, and they wouldn't let you speak in some places. They didn't want, a lot of people wouldn't talk to me in public. And but it was worthwhile. I stood up and did what I wanted, and Banks and Belcourt and Means and them did. Madonna Gilbert over there. They said, no, I'll tell you a good one. We took over Mount Rushmore one time. I was invited to give a talk at the National Congress of American Indians in Minnesota. So I got there, and when they sent somebody, Marty Wakasu came over from Rapid City. And they sent him over from Rapid City and to Minneapolis. So I came there, and when I got there, there was a microphone. They said, there's a Lee Brightman in here. There's somebody to see you. So I went over to a guy named Marty Wakasu, who now heads the Indian Center in San Francisco. He was a young man. And they said, we want you to come over and help us in Rapid City. And I said, what are you doing? They said, we're picketing. And I said, where? They said, at Mount Rushmore. And I said, why? They said, well, they don't employ Indians there. Got a lot of people. So I said, okay. So I went out and I chartered a bus. And I got money from AIM and a couple of other organizations, and I put some in, and I chartered a bus and filled it up with students. And took them all the way from Minneapolis, Minnesota to South Dakota. And when we got there, they were picketing, and they had about 20 people picketing down below. And so they weren't making any noise, you know, and they were walking around like I was in that first picket line, you know, holding up little signs. So I turned around and I said, what are you guys doing? They said, we're picketing. I said, I don't hear any noise. Your damn picket signs, you got to get up close to read them like that. And so I said, I got two people. I said, go in town and get some red paint and get 3 white sheets and bring them back. And I had them sew together and put Sioux Indian Power on it. And then we got a microphone, some speakers, and I said, when we take over Mount Rushmore, we're going to invade tonight. When we take it over tomorrow, when you get on George Washington's head, we're going to take those 3 sheets and put rocks on the bottom and throw them out so that people can look in those spyglasses and see them. Well, anyway, different people were speaking, and everything was going good. And I went into where they were selling curio, the curio shop, and they had pictures of the dead Indians killed at Wounded Knee. They were selling them with a soldier standing on these dead Indians, Sioux Indians. And I turned around and I called that woman over and I said, this is disgraceful as hell. you killed our people and now you're exploiting us by selling pictures of it. I said, I want those removed. And she said, who are you? And I said, you're going to find out who in the hell I am if you don't take those damn pictures down. She wouldn't, so I said, that's it. I went out there and I said, I want to talk. And I grabbed the damn mic and I started ranting and raving and cussing. And they cut the mic off on me when I cussed. So I said, that's it. I went out and I wrote out a press release. As of darkness, at sundown, we're going to take over Mount Rushmore. And I had them take it to radio, TV, and newspapers. And they took it in and sent in and got the sheets and all. And about 7 o'clock that night, there were about 30 of us that invaded Mount Rushmore. We lined up in a long line, and they lined up there, and they chased our ass all night. All night long. And they caught Madonna, Big Mouth there. Somehow, Madonna made it all the way up to about 300 yards through trees and rocks and ravines and shit. She made it and got on top of George Washington's head. She's up there and lit a cigarette smoking, you know. Couldn't figure why they found her when she lit a damn cigarette and smoking up there, you know. They caught her ass. And they caught Dennis and Banks and I and 3 or 4 others where they caught us, they surrounded us. And so I said, well, so we all sat down. There was about 10 of us in my group. Banks and myself and a whole bunch of others. And all of a sudden we heard Madonna laughing and giggling. Her laugh would pierce steel, man. So she's coming down and giggling and laughing. And I go, hey, Madonna. She said, hey, Lee. So they brought her over. And she says, I got up there. And she says, but they caught me. Yeah, lit a damn cigarette and should have. So anyway, we were sitting there. And I said, you know something? I don't see any guns on them, do you? They all had flashlights. And I said, I don't see any. We're sitting in a circle. And everybody looked around and said, I don't think they have guns. And I said, I'll tell you what, when I holler, everybody run in a different direction. So I screamed, we all took off and run in a different direction. And we chased our ass all night. And the next morning, about 10 of us wound up there, and we climbed on top of George Washington's head. And we threw out that damn, our Indian power, Sioux Indian power. We stayed there for about, you want to come up and talk, pal? We stayed there for about 2 weeks. And CBS came up to interview me. They said, who's the leader here? And they said, Lee Brightman. So we went down, and they said, how long do you plan on staying up there? And I said, what about as long as the grass grows, the water flows, and the sun shines? And all the Indians are laughing like hell, and the white people weren't. And I said, what the hell? Why aren't you laughing, goddammit? You put that same phrase in all those bullshit 289 treaties you signed with us, you know, and stole 1 billion acres of land, and you don't think it's funny now, huh? And anyway, I was teaching at the University of California at Berkeley at the time. And that was my first 6 months there. And they didn't think that was too damn funny. I was on top of George Washington's head screaming Indian power. And I was supposed to be at a National Indian Education Conference in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And they didn't think that was too damn funny. And then about a couple months later, they had a big meeting up in Reno, Nevada. The National Congress of American Indians had a meeting there. And I went up there, and Russell Means and I got in a big fight there and tore up a goddamn academic casino fight there. And we ruined the damn conference, I guess it was, they said, because the cops were afraid AIM was going to have a big fight with my group, United Native Americans. But those were the early years. And you know, people at that time, a lot of people didn't want to talk to us in public. Dennis Banks, Clyde Delcourt, Russell Means, myself.